You've seen the title, and you might be thinking, how I went from bronze to gold in about 3 to 4 months? That doesn't seem anything too special or impressive. Well, you're right, it's not. I'm going to walk you through my journey on how I started playing Valorant Ranked a few months back, and how I progressed from bronze to gold, and give you the tips that I needed. This is nothing crazy. There's a lot of videos out there showing how they went from X rank to the next one at the very top in about a month's time. The fact is, there's a very few percentage of people who do that, and the rest, well, we're just average people ranking up and trying to get better at the game. I'm going to try and show you this too. And I hope me showing you my journey can help you out with it too. And if it does, be sure to drop a like on the video. And if you do want to see me try and rank up to platinum, which is my next goal, I do stream on Twitch, there's a link down below. Now, I started playing Valorant Ranked about back in episode 2, act 3. And around about that time was somewhere through June. I did my placement games hoping to get gold or silver, and I got bronze 3. And then fast forward all the way to around about September, August time, I did hit gold. And just to show you that this is probably the average progression, and it's nothing crazy, but it is something that has been done, and it is a great thing to do because not everyone ranks up to. There's people who've been playing the game for months and are still stuck in silver. But me and a few other people went over to Valorant, and when we started playing Valorant Ranked together, we've kind of gone at a similar level and a similar path. And we're all at similar ranks what we started with and what we've ended up with. So this progression has been probably taken from about 5 other people who have ended up on similar levels to me. And just for a little bit of context on how much I actually played the game during that time, because that's a big factor, this might make it a little bit more impressive to you. That's not the goal, but I did play probably 1 game a day, and even sometimes only really not touching Valorant for an entire week. With me dropping out of college, a lot of my time goes into this, therefore I didn't get a chance to play too much, and it's still quite impressive. I'm happy with it for what I've done. My placement games, I ended up getting placed in bronze 3, and during that time I was kind of stuck in bronze and silver, the low end of silver. Bronze definitely is a weird place. It's not too toxic, and it's really just full of people who are trying to get good at the game and maybe are new to the game, or just simply not that good. It is definitely not the worst rank to get out of in terms of toxicity, but it is quite a hard one to adapt to how the players play if you have played any FPS games before. That was the big struggling point for me, was trying to adapt to these players because I come from other FPS games and higher ranks in those FPS games, and the plays are a little bit confusing. The best advice I can give you if you're stuck in this rank right now, what helped me a lot was my mechanics. Bronze is purely about mechanics and weird plays. The fact is, you can't predict what the enemy's going to do. So either make it in your control and you just completely own the game, or make some weird plays yourself. But definitely getting down the recoil control and stuff like that was crucial. When I started Valorant and started playing Ranked, I was awful with the recoil control and I didn't know how to use it. I found myself learning a lot about the Vandal in terms of how to actually use it, using the 3-tap method and simply just using it for 1-taps, because at the time, I was kind of all over the place. At least for me, it was a big learning curve in terms of learning how the game actually works and the meta, and also learning how to adapt to the players, and working on my aim too and mechanics. Mechanics are absolutely crucial, and they can get you out of low rank. I wasn't in bronze for too long though. I eventually got out maybe a week or 2 after playing, and eventually the final act, which must have been about 20 days or 15 days, 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks during that process of playing the game, I eventually finished in silver 1 to end off episode 2 act 3. Episode 2 act 3 was the act that I joined in. I joined about halfway through June time, so that was the time that it was. So silver 1 joining halfway through about my first act is decent progress, to be fair. I was kind of in silver, but I was also stuck between bronze and silver. At that point, I was falling between the two of them. I just happened to finish at the highest peak of silver 1. If there's any advice I can give to someone who is feeling that kind of pain in terms of being stuck in silver and bronze, or any rank in between the two, it usually is natural if you've just ranked up. Eventually, after a few weeks of playing, at least for me, my time is different because I only play barely any in the day and barely any in the week. But eventually you'll start to get the hang of it and you'll start ranking up into silver a bit more, and now you'll be stuck in silver, which is better between falling the two, but it is a natural process to be stuck in them and be falling between the two. Which is exactly what happened to me. The next act, I was starting to rank up more into silver. This act was a massive part of being stuck in silver for me, really. I was stuck in silver 2 for the most part early on, silver 1 to silver 2, and silver is an absolute nightmare. Bronze is better than silver in my opinion, but if we're having to look at the worst ranks in the game in terms of ranking up and the experience, silver is the worst. The toxicity levels are absolutely unreal, and it's just a nightmare to be playing with in terms of the teammates that you get, the throwers, and also the enemies play really weird too. It's the one rank that I absolutely hate, and there is nothing like it. Bronze is completely fine compared to it. In my opinion, it's definitely one of the hardest ones in the game, and I eventually got into Silver 2, Silver 3, and this was a real big problem. I couldn't get into Gold. I was stuck in Silver 2 to 3, but something changed. Now, a big part of Silver, when I got into it in the earlier stages of ranking up from Bronze and gaining my ground in Silver, was checking corners. A lot of people liked camping corners in Silver. It's one big takeaway I did notice from it. When you rank up the ranks like I did, you will start to notice little differences in the gameplay and experiences, and that is a difference that I noticed. And it's also not the case of it applies to every low elo rank, because not everyone camps in corners. In Bronze, people just make weird plays. The corners are still there, but they're not as big as Silver for me. For Gold, on the other hand, Gold is definitely not as much corner play. What helped me rank up out of Silver was persistence. I'm going to be honest with you. I knew I was a good enough player for Gold, and some of you might know that, and it's okay to accept that. It's not egotistical. You simply just are good at the game. A lot of the times, players will be stuck in ranks that they're not meant to be in. Some of you deserve to be there. There's other people out there, and there's quite a lot of players who are just generally from the player base meant to be in another rank. In Silver, as a duelist player and a only duelist player, I was picking up a lot of kills, big frag games consistently, and it was quite easy to do so. One part was my teammates. Sometimes teammates are the problem, whether you're in a 5-stack or simply randoms, teammates can be a problem. For Silver, I was dropping very high frag games, and also my teammates were just not cutting it at all. Whether I was in the 5-stack or simply just playing with randoms, my teammates just didn't quite cut it. I'm not sure why this was, whether it's only Silver or because they were behind on things. I was obviously still making mistakes, but my teammates were really weighing down on me. And just to give you some context, when I ranked up to Gold, I was not getting those top frag games anymore. I was on the middle of the leaderboard doing my job, my teammates were helping out a ton. That should show you that sometimes your teammates are the problem and sometimes you are the problem. Self-awareness is absolutely key, and I'm not being egotistical by saying what I was doing in Silver, it simply just was the case. And there are a lot of people out there too who are in the same situation. The key to Silver is keep on going at it and eventually something will turn. I'd recommend playing with more players if possible, but I really found solo queue and 5-stack were no different. I did actually solo queue most of Silver because playing in a 5-stack or 3-stack didn't change anything in terms of the teammates and what was happening during the game. A big part of my advice for anyone who's in Silver is just to keep on going at it and play more of the game. There's nothing major here. You'll notice a few changes in gameplay and it's a very hard rank to get out of. But keep on going at it, play more of the game, double down on any strong points you have and make sure you eliminate the weaknesses. It was a miracle getting out of Silver, and I never actually went back down into Silver, I don't believe. In Gold, I noticed a massive change. There was no toxicity, there was no nothing like that. You might think because they're so close to each other, their plays are pretty similar, but honestly, they're not. Gold is like heaven in Silver. I found it was very hard for me to start fragging out and picking up 20-30 kill games like I was in Silver. I was starting to be in the middle of the leaderboard, which I was fine with, because the point is of winning the round, winning the game. A big part that's helped me during Gold right now, just to give you context, I'm currently in Gold 2, pretty much Gold 3, on my way to Platinum, and I'm really getting the hang of things now. I should be in Plat very soon. So to recap, a massive change in what players were actually doing on my team. The teammates were 10 times better, there was no really toxicity compared to Silver, and also I wasn't doing as well, which I was perfectly okay with, because I was on a steep learning curve. For me, Gold is all about adapting to high level plays, because I was facing a ton of Platinum players in the early beginning, because the Valorant matchmaking is so scuffed when you get to that level. That's a big change I noticed. Riot will match you with Plats even when you're in Gold 1. So I was getting my food handed to me on a plate and I had to adapt quickly. Once I did start to adapt, I started to gain more traction and headed up into Gold 2. To me, Silver and Bronze are absolutely horrible. Bronze isn't as bad, you're just learning the game. Silver, absolute nightmare and complete elo hell. Gold is literally heaven to me. Things start to get good in Gold. If we're comparing it to everything else, it is pretty good. Teammates know what they're doing now. You actually start communicating with people. And genuinely, I've noticed that you are adapting to high-level plays. You're getting ready for those high-elo players. And so far, with what's been helping me actually get out of Gold and get into Plat, which I'm on my way with, is simply just adapting and playing more of the game and learning. A lot of this stuff does come down to persistence and simply playing the game a bit more, but make sure you're also being self-aware and learning. And it's very frustrating at the same time. There was a lot of ups and downs during it. Remember, not everyone is going to go from Bronze to Diamond in a week. It simply just isn't the case. The average player, simply like me doing it and just going from this to that, and it isn't always a straight path up. I deranked quite a bit and went up quite a bit. So much happened in this journey, it was absolutely insane. There's so much more I could tell you about it and tips and advice. So if you do want to see maybe a part 2 to this, or maybe me going from Plat to whatever rank I'm at next, be sure to drop a like on the video and comment down below. Subscribe if it did help you out, and I do stream on Twitch. There's a link down below in the description. Click on the video on your screen right now because it's me showing you how to get better at Valorant.